Dude, I get so much energy from aha moments in life. The moments where I can connect something that does not feel that it's connected to this topic. Like when I'm able to bring like a random insight from food and beverages, let's say, to like how I can play tennis better.
Right.
I don't know. It's like those kinds of conversations really energize me when people talk about things from a different lens, bring out new topics, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is how it connects to something that I'm doing. So the conversations really energize me because I am able to tap into different spaces and different fields that people have, and then go back like and go like, hey, how can I apply it to something else? And then sometimes I'm like, wow, this happened. So I'm very driven by like insight.
He said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. My hobby said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. I want black people to be free, to be free, to be free. I want black people shine your light, to be free, to sleep on my feet. My hobby said, shine your light, to be free. I want black people.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Iconic Conversations, the countercultural podcast that brings together innovators, community builders, and world changers for authentic dialogue on the human experience, sparking curiosity, vulnerability, and empathetic connection to the world. I'm your host, Tanaka Ishanisu Tava, and today I have a special guest. And the reason why I always say special is because every guest is special, but most importantly, somebody that I have admired from afar, and he is a fellow podcaster. So he understands the grind, he understands the intentionality and the work that it comes to producing long-form content, hosting and having long-form, authentic and organic conversations. You need to check out his podcast, the True Kauling podcast. I'm here with my brother, Sarthak Kaul. How are you doing today, bro?
Dude, thank you so much, by the way. I am coughing and I'm highly caffeinated, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
Right here, except the highly caffeinated part, but I'm coughing too. But no, bro, welcome to the pod. I know this has been in the works for a minute, but honestly, again, I say each and everything with like true intentionality, and I mean it. I've listened to your stuff. I've watched your clips. I've been posting. You're doing some great quality work. It's so fascinating just to see this. So now, like, how does it feel to be on the other side, to be interviewed? Like, usually when you're the interviewer.
Dude, it's, I recorded my first guest, me being on the guest side last week. And honestly, dude, I love talking. As much as I love hearing people's stories, I realized like I do love to share things that I have come across. Because, you must know, like you've been talking to so many different people. You collect so many things
Yes.
from people. It's like you're this like adventurer that's like going on a journey with other people, and you're like collecting insights, you're collecting these new stories, and then you are interpreting them in your own way once you like take it back with you. So I'm happy to share what I'm learning through that
Bro,
process,
no,
honestly.
this is the reason why I want you on the pod, bro. I want you to share the gems, bro. Share the gems, like. But before that, I want you to go to like the genesis, and of course, I guess people have asked you this, but why'd you start your podcast? What was the thing? What was the reason behind it? Why did you decide to say like I want to put my voice out there?
Yeah, man. So it kind of connected, the why connected very recently for me, like the way to say it. But I have always been very curious
Yeah.
about people. So, I'm the guy who, one of my friends, we went on a trip like a few weeks ago. He lives in Austin too. And he's a very curious guy. And most of the people tell him that he's very curious. And when we were together, we went to a town 2 hours west from Austin. And he was just like, dude, you're talking to everyone, you're asking everyone questions, and like I haven't met too many people who are that curious. And I think I just always have kept a level of like openness to the world to just know from different people. And so a podcast is just a more formal format to do the same things that I do off camera, honestly.
Right.
It's the same things. I literally do the same thing on a street, randomly outside UT Austin on the campus or in downtown. I just start talking to people. I start asking them questions, and at some point, like 5 minutes into the conversation, we go into the depth of it. So like I love going deep into people's stories very quickly. And I was like, why not just bring out these stories that I've learned from others to other people too, like online.
Right, right. I mean, that's good, and I mean, like it takes a certain level of one tenacity, because people like there's like some friction when you start doing this. People are like, why is this guy asking me so many questions? What's wrong with you, right? I bet you've like encountered a little bit of that, but honestly, the majority of the time, 90% of people want to talk about themselves because they like being asked like what they're thinking and what they got going on, because like everybody wants to feel valued and heard. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, 100%. Like, so many of us, like, if you just come to, honestly, it's everywhere in all the major cities. You were in LA before Austin just like a month ago. I don't know how LA is anymore, but when I walk in the streets in Austin, everyone has these AirPods on,
Right.
and they're thinking. People aren't still. People are thinking about things, and they want to share things, and they want to talk about it, but it's just the fear of connecting with a stranger, right? And I was like, dude, how can I break this down? So I try to do that on a daily basis to like talk to someone new, and everyone has something to share, and everyone has something unique to share about their own journey. And I feel like we're sort of like kind of shying away from those conversations, and I feel like people like you, people like other podcasters are bringing out um just more conversations, and we need more of that, more connection.
Yeah, man, it's true. It is true. Ever since, and I mean, I'm also guilty of having headphones. Like even today, earlier today when I was walking to this pop up, the Lewis Hamilton pop up. For context, everybody, we're in Austin, Texas right now. It's F1, so the third week of October. 2 weeks ago, over the past 2 weeks, it was ACL, one of the biggest music festivals in Austin, and then now we have another crazy weekend with F1 coming to town, and as well as the Texas versus Georgia game. So there's a lot going on. There's been a lot going on happening in Austin. You know what I'm saying?
October is the month to visit Austin. It's
October,
everyone's in town.
everyone's in town, but like it's something. And I will say like too, especially in bigger cities, people
Hmm.
always have something in their ears because they want to stay locked in and zoned in. Where
I don't know, man. I don't know about the zoned in part. I don't know about like zoned in. I feel like a lot of people are trying to zone out.
go deeper.
Like it's an easier path to like walk like almost like mindlessly, listening to whatever. Most people are probably listening to music. Sometimes I stop people and go like, what are you listening to? And mostly people are listening to music, and it's an easier way to just go through from point A to point B without seeing anything in the middle. It's sort of why I feel like people are like, people have cars, people go from one point to the other. There is so much that happens between point A to point B
Like
if you just look around and you observe. Like you know you see people, you see dogs and cats interacting with humans. You see people having a laugh. You see people crying. You see people enjoying, and you miss so many emotions because you're so zoned, I think zoned out to the
zone.
environment, maybe zoned into your internal environment, but I don't think I think a lot of people want to connect with others and want to just have random conversations at a cafe, but it's easier to just do this and put this in and kind of just walk through it.
Yeah. You know what? I like that because most of the time when I like how you said that people want to zone out, because when most of the time when people when I put it in my headphones, I'm like I'm locking in. I'm locking in. This is what I'm
Yeah.
putting the music. I'm at the gym. Literally just about like less than 10 minutes ago, just came from the gym. I'm locking in. I'm listening to the headphones, listening to the motivation. But oftentimes you're right. Like people are zoning out and they want to numb out. And I mean, now for you, bro, when you were you made this observation and you made this intentional effort to like just spark up random conversations. Um, like deeply wondering, was there a point of time when you were just tired? Like, what was that moment for you? You're like, I'm just going to continue to do this over and over again. To instead of like having the status quo of zoning out, to really just be tuned into your environment. Did that come from your parents? Did that come from just your learnings? Like, why are you on a quest to continue to be one around and to continue to be observant?
It's a very good question. Man, I feel like we talk about luck and we talk about serendipity and like chance encounters with people and things that lead to bigger things, in your life. And I've noticed when I have been present around people and been aware of circumstances around me, I've had luck come to me.
Yeah.
It's like so many of these opportunities that come to you, not just like professionally, honestly. It's like the next person that you might like really connect well with, they become really good friends with you, have not happened when I've had my headphones on.
Right.
It doesn't happen when you're zoned out, an environment where there's so many people around you. It happens when some conversation gets sparked, and you're out of your earphones, and then you're connecting with people, and that leads to something else, and then you get invited to some random event where you meet someone else. So I feel like those opportunities I don't want to miss. My life going through just like this kind of like routine of things, and not being present to my environment. And so that was a realization that happened, during school. I have a very random story, dude. Like
Yeah, share
I
this.
was, I was in ninth or eighth grade, and I've always been one, that sort of, I've had phases where I've really had a very tight friend group, and I've had phases where like I don't feel like I fit in.
Right.
I don't know how many people resonate with this. Maybe some people do, but I've had these waves of connection, and when I wasn't feeling as connected, I would just observe people. Like I would just be the one like guy, like we had a volleyball court in my high school in India, and I would just see these people like playing volleyball, and then I saw this other group, like friend circle, like literally this is a story. Like I saw this random group of people. They were like 2 years older than me. I think they were like in 10th grade. They had a plastic bottle in front of them that was just placed on the ground next to the volleyball court. And they were all standing, and while standing, try to spit inside the bottle of, like, it was like the most random, like the most random memory I have. And I just like remember observing them, like there were like four of them, just like going back and forth, and they were all like dropping it on the side, either like on the side of the bottle, or they were like spitting on the ground, but they weren't able to get it in. For some reason, I don't know why, I like go up to them, and I don't say a single word, and I just like stand in front, and I just spit straight through the bottle.
And you did it.
Like, and I did it. And it's not even the fact that I did it. It's the reaction that happened after that, and what happened as a result of that. It's like I became involved with them, and then what happened is like we started chatting, and then we played football together after that. Like it was just like the most random. It's like the most random thing, but it's like how much are you observing? Maybe I observe too much, but like how much are you observing the environment around you to then be involved, not just to like be a bystander, but to then actively be involved in it.
Yeah. You're being like an active participant in creating and co-creating that reality that you want to see, whether it's subconscious or subconscious, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think that's super fascinating because like I always say it to my friends or people that know me, and it's a little weird, but it's actually super weird, but I think it resonates. Life is like GTA. Life is a video game, and at any point in time, you can opt in into some random experience, and because of this opting in, you have like a new door to open. It was like and I think because I picked it up very, very early on when we first met in 2022 at the Antler headquarters. I remember that day, right? Everybody was like stressed and whatever. But you and me, we were just vibing and chilling. And then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
he's like, yo, bro, yeah, I'm gonna go do yoga after this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, yo, like, you're not stressed? What's up? And I'm like, bro, like, man, I'm not. Like, people would call me a natural networker, quote unquote, but really, I'm just like being still and being me. Because again, like, because I know all this stuff will fade away. These titles will fade away. It doesn't really matter. It was like if I'm too busy playing, opting into the chaos of things that are made up, whose game am I playing? Am I playing someone else's game, or am I playing my own? Right?
Yeah.
And like, because again, of course, in this world, there's a game within the game. There's like people who have so many other people's agendas and so many things swirling around. If I don't take the time to just say, yo, what type of experience do I want to get out of this, and how am I able to? Because whenever I go to any event, I'm like, all that matters to me, wherever I go, the main thing is like there's this mantra I have called focus on the one. Just make one connection. Just one connection, man. That's it. I don't want to connect with everybody. I want to connect with like whoever resonates in the vibration that I'm at. Or am I going to be called to somebody else's vibration? I was called to yours. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it's such a huge thing, like focus on the one, because early on you really want, like you feel like you want to be able to talk to everyone and you want to be able to connect with everyone, but it just doesn't happen. And if you just like go with that mindset that, it's just one person that may be on the same frequency, on the same vibe as me, and I get that one person I get to connect with again, because again, like if you talk to five different people and you don't end up meeting up with any of them after, it's sort of just this like one and done situation, right? Like you didn't really go deeper with anyone, and I completely agree with you. I think if you go to events and you're trying to meet people and try to gain new connections in environments, or especially you move to a new city like Austin where people keep on moving. So yeah, just like one person, and if you go to enough events, that's a lot of people across time. It's a patience game, I think.
It is a patience game. But then within this patience game, of course, we're young, like, we got goals. How do you
Yeah.
how do you make sure that you are not swept up in the game of comparison and staying focused on your on your calling, right? Yeah.
Mm.
No,
There
but
we go. Let's go.
no, but like your calling of being able to making sure that you're staying pure to the craft, because it's so easy, bro. Like I'll be even for me, man. Like I haven't posted on LinkedIn in a minute. My engagement is down. It's poo poo. It's like boo boo. But and then I'm seeing everybody else's like engagement like popping. I'm like, yo, my content's better than this, but like I'm only getting 2 likes. What the heck? But then back of my head, I'm like, it's okay, because that means 2 people interacted or liked it. It's okay, because
Dude,
yeah, man. How do you make sure that you're staying like grounded and not getting swept up?
it's such an important question to ask yourself consistently, because there's definitely been moments where I've checked my YouTube analytics and Spotify analytics and been like, man, I wish like it was more than like 50 views on this particular podcast. And I was like, I mean, and then right next to it, you see on the recommended videos on YouTube, you see like one of the most major podcasts, you see a Ferris, or you see, and you're like, it's so many views. And I think I keep on reminding myself that um there's two things that I care about when I'm talking to people. First thing is like, did the person who was right there actually enjoy the conversation? The person who was right next to me, sitting there, did they actually enjoy and find something stimulating about the conversation, the questions I asked them, and did it make them think more deeply about things? Did they come up with new insights for themselves? Did it help them in some way? That's the first thing, because if there's no one else watching, that's the person that I'm talking to. So it better be a good thing, at least that they enjoy it. And secondary is if someone else gains something out of it, because you can't control for how many people will see your stuff. And I don't know why, like the last video I did, like the last video I posted yesterday, I recorded this conversation back in March. I feel like I didn't think it was going to actually do that well, because I just think, the first of all, the conversation was all audio. All my conversations have been video, so
Right,
people have engaged with the video a lot. It was the only audio conversation because the video got corrupted, but it's done the best out of all the videos in the first 24 hours. So I literally do not know why. I don't know why that did better than the other videos, but all I knew is that we were having a good conversation. So if that's happening, I'm enjoying, and the person's enjoying, and that's all that really matters. And like, it's again going back to the same thing, like, what are you focusing on? Like, it's this thing. I want to tell you something else. Yesterday I was talking to one of my best friends. Shout out to Ribhav. And he's also a podcaster. Like, he hosts a podcast with one of our other best friends,
right,
and they have this podcast. And I asked them, like, dude, my average, I can share this. Like, my average um video, like the people, like, what they watch it for retention is like about 9.5 minutes.
right.
So out of a conversation that's going on for an hour and a half, people are watching for 9 minutes. Now that doesn't sound a lot, but he was like, dude, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, dude, there's like, most of the people that are probably watching are being recommended on an algorithm. So they're there for like 9 minutes, not knowing anything about this person, and they've watched 9 minutes of this stuff. That's a lot of time spent on one single video. How often do you spend that much time on a new video, right?
Right,
And I was like, wow, that's perspective again. It's like, what are you focusing on, right? Is it the you hope that everyone watched the entire thing, or you were good that someone actually watched it
right.
and got some, like, did something with it? So it's all perspective.
It is all perspective, and like it's just so insane, because the barrier to entry, even 10 years ago, was like you needed to be in a place with like the most pay $500 to get a studio space to rent for an hour, equipment. You need to have the right microphones. You had to be in a single place. You couldn't really do it on video calls. Like it was high, bro. And now it's like so low. And then after that, like we now have the opportunity to be able to like start like it's nothing, right? Which is so fascinating.
Dude, everyone and their mom can start something at this point when it comes to media, dude. It's crazy. It's like Riverside is like a great example of that. Like, it's like literally a few dollars a month, and you get literally a setup where you can run and have any conversation with anyone in the world.
Literally anyone in the world. It doesn't matter wherever. You just send them a link, and you're like, hey, just pull up, and you don't have to worry about it. And also, you can edit inside too. Like,
Dude.
That blows my mind. That really truly blows my mind. And so now I want to like pivot a little bit. And obviously, you had how many episodes have you produced so far?
I have released 11.
11.
And I have recorded about 17 or 18, I believe.
17 or 18. So obviously, you spoke with like 17, 18 minimum people, right? I guess what has been the biggest, some of the top 3 nuggets that you got from your whole time doing this new creative journey, and how have you implemented those nuggets, if you have, into your own life?
Dude, so number one reason for why I brought anyone is that they really love what they're doing.
Yeah.
So passion shows. That's it. Like passion, when someone's passionate about something, it shows in the way they talk about things, in the way they express themselves. You can tell when someone's energized by the things they're talking about. So I feel like literally you can judge people's energy and people's care for a topic by the way they talk about it.
Right.
That's like number one for me. Is like, how can you, even if you don't know what you're passionate about, sometimes the way you talk about things and how energized you get by talking about it can tell you something about your passions.
Right.
So like go towards those, like follow them, follow that energy. I think energy is a very easy thing to follow more than passion. But when you feel like you're bringing out something, that's one lesson, a huge one, is like you can tell that the people that I've talked to, like they were energized by these conversations about their stuff.
Wait, so what are you energized right now?
Dude, I get so much energy from aha moments in life. The moments where I can connect something that does not feel that it's connected to this topic. Like when I'm able to bring like a random insight from food and beverages, let's say, to like how I can play tennis better.
Right.
I don't know. It's like those kinds of conversations really energize me when people talk about things from a different lens, bring out new topics, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is how it connects to something that I'm doing. So the conversations really energize me because I am able to tap into different spaces and different fields that people have, and then go back like hey, how can I apply it to something else? And then sometimes I'm like, wow, this happened. So I'm very driven by like insights. I'm very driven by finding and seeking wisdom. I think that's like a huge insight. Like that's what drives me, dude. Like every day, if I find one thing that I like learned that's new that I didn't know before, I'm like the happiest person, literally. Like just that's it. I don't need much else, honestly.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah. Another thing that I found is a lot of us like try to find, George Kosmetsky, he was an economist in the US, and he said there are no solutions, there's only trade-offs. And I truly believe that. And the conversations that I've had, they've kind of showed me that you have to choose the trade-offs you're willing to be fine with and accept. So what are you willing to choose in life that might not lead you to choose other things? So that's a conversation of work-life balance, let's say. What are you willing to choose that will maybe like not give you as much time with friends or not as much time with work because you like something else?
Right.
So you have to choose your hard, and everything has some hard to it, especially things that are like that haven't been existing and you're trying to bring into the space,
Right.
like as creatives, as founders, as people that are innovators. So choose your heart is the lesson.
What I mean, like with that, And that's tough, right? Because of course, when we're younger, I actually really internally struggle with that, to be honest, because from like 0 to 8, the world is your oyster. Well, 0 to 10, and then after that, you hit middle school, and after that, people are like, "Oh, you gotta start focusing. Focus on the thing that like will bring you money. So you gotta choose your thing. You gotta stay focused." Like, I mean, honestly, for me, a lot of people, the biggest critique and criticism that I always have gotten ever in my life has, you need to focus, you need to focus, you need to focus. And it's like, so you're telling me I want to I could be anything in the world, and now you're telling me I can't. I gotta focus. And I'll be like, yo, focus is important, and focus and discipline is absolutely important. But like, it's such a dichotomy, because I'm just like, yo, man, it makes no sense. Like, you're putting me in a very compromising situation where I have to choose between these two things. I know you can't have everything, because if we did have everything, like, is life even worth living? but like, fair, and like, it's unfair. I really think it's unfair, and nobody said life was fair. I get that, I know, but I don't. Well, I agree with it fundamentally. That is a truth, right? It sucks. I don't like it. I can say I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like it.
I don't know, man. I don't think I think what does focusing mean, right? Like what is the scope of focus is the question, right?
Right.
Like, you say that I can focus, let's say, use an example of venture studio. They're incubating companies.
Right.
They're incubating multiple companies
Right.
at one time.
Right.
So are they focused? Maybe they are focused because they're focused on like building a venture studio. That's the focus. But that's a broad focus.
Right.
Within that, there's 10,000 things happening with this company, that company, hiring this person, entrepreneur in residence. So I feel like there's waves and like scopes of focus that are there. Like, how niche is your focus and how broad is your focus is the question to ask. Like, what do you want to focus on is a very tricky question to answer because of that, because you can have multiple things you can focus on within like a bigger focus. So I think there's like a mission of things that, like, there's a bigger mission that you might like be attracted to that drives all the other things that you do. So your focus is on this big mission. For example, Simon Sinek's focus is to like help other people find their why.
Right.
Let's say, like, that's sort of what I get from his thing. Like,
Right.
I want to help people find their why, but that means like there's whatever 8 billion people. So are there common big things that you can take and apply it to everyone? The bigger focus is on the mission, but there's so many different things that you do within that. So what is focus, right? Like, it's just like a very broad, very broad way of like defining it. But I think you have to focus on something within that big thing and then keep on changing your focus based on what the environment or moment like kind of almost is asking you.
Yeah, that's very true. And because like, I know we're gonna go to your third point, but like, I want to know, it's like, what has been your hard as of late in these past 3 months?
Man, my heart has been on being patient with the outcomes of things that I'm doing. So be it like the podcast on things, like just like having a larger time horizon and continuously reminding myself that this is gonna take a while. Same thing with the startup Gigpay that we're building right now. It's like a payments startup for creators and the gig economy at large. It's to we hope that we were at a certain place, but then it takes time, and it's not. But we're not where we were expecting to be in October. So again, like, patience is like the key thing that I found very hard to nail down. And I think it comes with this like urge to like just have the reality that you want to exist,
Right.
that you want should exist in the world. Um, but it's just going to take time. And so I think the patient is the core thing, and the other actions that are coming, the actions of me like wanting to like reach out to 100 people and like asking them to be on something on my podcast, or reach out to like 5 different people to set up this like integration for our fintech stuff. Like, those are all like actions that I'm doing because I am feeling that I can't be patient as much.
Mm.
If I was more patient, I would like take it much slower in some ways. But my day is like back to back, go 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 right now. It's just like everything's go go go.
Bar. That is a bar. That is a bar.
And I don't think it's coming from anywhere, dude. It's coming literally from my own perception of where I should be in life, you know? I'm 25 and I feel like I should be somewhere in my life right now. And I don't feel like I am in that state in my life right now. And I don't know why, because there there's so much time
Yeah.
to build on things and compound them and keep on doing them. So I that's the hard. Honestly, the hard is just to stay patient while I'm doing things.
I resonate with that deeply, actually, bro. Likewise, I feel the same sentiment because again, it's just like, and you know, it's funny because if you ask this question with anybody, even like, you know, I've been very privileged to sit down with some of the most successful on paper or the world standards, billionaires, celebrities, athletes,
Mm-hmm.
have meetings with them asking me for advice. I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck. I'm 25. I don't know shit. Like, I don't know why you asking me, but whatever. Like,
Yeah.
even after they have virtually everything that we all want or desire, they still feel like they're not where they want to be. It's like, what?
No, I mean, I think it's a perpetual human condition, which can um, be worked on because I feel like I was even more impatient before. And that's actually why I stopped the podcast. I don't know if anyone knows this, but like when I was I started this podcast actually in 2020,
Oh, wow.
end of 2020, early 2021. And after the first episode that I posted with Edmund Chang, who's a professor at UCSD, I stopped posting. I had recorded 5 more conversations. One with the first Indian American to be in federal prison.
Wow.
One with an ethnographer. Yeah, like he got out of that. He was there for like a decade or so. He got out of that, ended up moving to LA, started a business, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to go into the hair care business, and he started doing that. And I was always talking to people that like just like are so compelled by like doing things,
Right.
like they can't not do these things. And even though they had the worst conditions, like he went to prison, man, for like a solid time, still ended up doing this. It's like another conversation I recorded was with this one lady. I met her at UCSD when I was in San Diego, and she was an ethnographer. She goes to different countries, stays there for 3 years, especially in war and conflict zones. And she goes there, documents her journey of like what she found, what she observed about the like actual on land observation. And again, didn't post it. I think because I wanted to be at a certain place with that first conversation itself that I had posted. And so it literally stopped me, the fear of not being where I wanted to be and feeling like I'm getting the recognition at that time. To post for the next 2 years, literally, for the next 2.5 years. I made the LLC for True Calling back in 2021. And I only started posting conversations consistently again 2-3 months ago. So that tells you that's a real example of like how at that time my impatience led me to literally stop doing it because I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see. So I had to like broaden my time horizon.
Yeah, that's powerful, bro. And like I didn't know that. Like, who would have thought? Like, most people when they see like you posting consistently, like, oh man, it's been I've been doing it, but you stopped, but then you came back on the horse, right? And that's what they say. Like, no matter what, as cheesy as it sounds, the key is to never stop. And like, you know that it's in your purpose if it's still in you, nagging at
Yes.
you. It's like,
Yes.
oh, like you know, that stone unturned.
Get back to it. Get back
bro,
to
like
it.
literally
Yeah.
what it says in like the Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist, right? You know, in towards the end when he's in the desert. For anybody that hasn't read this book, read this book. Where he could have stayed in the oasis, and then the alchemist told him, okay, yeah, you could stay here. You could have all the money. You met your girl, Fatima, and you could lead. This is what's going to happen with your life. You're going to lead all these people to riches and prosper and all that stuff. And then the omens are going to keep ringing and ringing and ringing. And you're going to keep ignoring it. And then once you ignore it, and once it stops calling you, everything will be taken away. Your girl, she would have been gone. The people would have said, oh, you would have had enough money to go back home and all that stuff. But because you didn't go after your calling, right? like it just would have stopped talking to you. Do you want to live a life where on it looks great, you're successful, but you know that you haven't realized your fullest potential of what you're capable of? I think that's worse than death, in my opinion.
Dude, no, really, it really is. And I don't know who said this, but again, like something to the tunes of like, a lot of people live to 75, but they're dead by 25.
25.
Just because the same thing, man. Like I was in an Uber right now, and I was it was this dude. He was probably in his late 60s, and I asked the question, "How are you?" to him, and he's like, "Same old day." And it took him less than like half a microsecond to say that, and I do wonder like if there was a way that he could like stop for a second and just like think about like how his day actually was, because there's no same old day, man. There's
No,
literally
same old
no
day.
day that is the same old. Literally every single day is different if you just like are open to it.
Right.
So how can we like be more open and like have our eyes, ears, like our whole body there for the moment to experience it and to find something new in the day. There's so many opportunities always, man. Like there's always opportunities to bring something new to light to yourself, to change the perception you have towards others, to change the way you look at your own self. It's a game, as you said, like it's GTA, man. You can create your character in a lot of ways, and every day you can. Every day is this respawn. It's the GTA respawn. Is the new day,
It's a new
literally.
day. Good. Now, like, what's the third lesson, man? This is good, bro. This is fire.
Dude, let me think about this one. So, a lot of the lessons that I'm thinking about are from recent conversations, and if I had to take a step back, I would say I I am deeply passionate about helping the younger version of me. So a lot of these questions that come about are me trying to ask the questions that I was asking myself when I was 19, 20, 21, 22. And the number one question that I see people asking is like, what direction to take life in? I don't know which way to point my compass, and I don't know what to do, and all that. So in these conversations, what I've figured out is how many times people have done things without having any clue of if this is going to be the thing that they'll pursue for the rest of their life. So it's about trying enough things and trying enough experiments where you can like go towards the thing that you eventually pursue. And the book Range by David Epstein is a classic example of that. I would urge anyone to read that book. It literally takes in like scientific research of it takes people looks at people that we admire across all different fields, and the common denominator there is that when you generalize and when you try a bunch of different things, only when you try a bunch of different things can you start making very new discoveries on the thing that you eventually specialize on.
Yeah.
So it's like just try things and like do it regardless of fear. And that's the whole definition of courage. Courage is doing things regardless of the fear of it. So be more courageous in trying things. And a podcast for me is like a courageous move. Being at a startup very early on as a founding member is a courageous move. Joining UT Austin's program honestly is a courageous move because I was very hesitant on it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Because I wanted to sort of it was a point where I could decide if I wanted to go back to India or not. Um, it was a decision for me to I could make that decision and go like, okay, I can go back to India and there's enough opportunities there. But I knew that I had a deep feeling that Austin is like the ecosystem that is going to lead to the next thing for me in my life. And so I made the decision to stay at join UT Austin as a way to extend the time that I have in the US. So
Powerful.
the bigger lesson is try a bunch of things and eventually something will click.
Yeah, bro. That's good, bro. Man, but you learned a lot, bro. This is a good combo. I'm not gonna cap, bro. This was like I told you, bro. I told you we're just gonna get it in. It's just like
It's just how it goes, bro.
this is how it
Every time with you.
goes. This is how it freaking goes, my G. And I'm super grateful that you shared those sentiments because I mean, like, I feel like anybody, like, regardless, audience 18 to 30, people just like, sometimes I got some little younger people. 17, like my 17-year-old cousins, and then after that, older people tap in. It's just like, but these are the universal lessons that can apply to anybody, anyone, no matter where they are in life. And the fact that we are so blessed and privileged to be able to get exposure to these lessons time and time again through various forms, different mediums, and those mediums being other people. And you on the consistent, persistent pursuit of wisdom is time not wasted at all, but time that is valuable, right? And you're sharing that, and that in itself is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? That is what, in my opinion, is the purpose and the recollection of what this life is supposed to be. Painting as a mosaic of being able to share everything that we've learned and continue to inspire the next generation.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that, first of all. And with that, I think there's a lot more views and status you can get from being entertaining. But I don't want to be an entertainer personally. Like, I want to be an educator mostly. And education is not as flashy. It's not as um, dramatic and create like this like eyeballs, but it's less interesting to look at and listen to. But it's the principles that stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And I'm on that journey with you, man, of like just finding principles that can work throughout life rather than go through the waves of status seeking and labels and all that.
Yeah, bro. That's a good conclusion to the episode, man. Where can the people find you at if you want them to find you?
If they want me to find me, best place is to find me at a Medici cafe. I'm kidding.
Medici.
I
That's a
am
plug right there, though. It's fire.
next weekend, actually. Next Thursday, sorry. Next Thursday, Medici founders Allison and Michael are going to be on. That's going to be the next upload. I'm so excited for that one, actually. It's going to be a freaking fire show. Like, it was one of the best conversations I recorded. They have so many lessons to share. They have so much insight on Austin as a city because they've been here since the 90s.
Wow.
And so, but True Calling on YouTube, True Calling on LinkedIn, Spotify, and if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm Sarthak Kaul. You'll find me
Yeah, man.
with a Kaul.
Okay.
True Calling with a Kauling.
True
So my last name.
Calling. Come on, y'all. Connect with the boy. And listen to his pod. It's some really great stuff. And I'm not capping. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, man, and thank you, everyone.
All right. We are out.